Essentially, that's what it is. It's interesting people telling interesting stories. Hello, good afternoon, good evening, good day. I never know what to say. It's 12 o'clock as we're doing this, but it could be 4 o'clock in the morning when you listen to this. You are listening to episode 14 of Brown and Marsh. Yes, I remembered because I definitely looked it up before we started because it's nice I actually know what I'm talking about occasionally. My name's Ross Brown, blah, 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 35 years almost in marketing, podcasting, all the usual shenanigans. And my gorgeous co-host, Mr. Christopher Marsh.
Hello. Yeah, I'm 25, 26 years in new business sales, business development, mostly in the sort of tech, digital creative sector based in Manchester.
It is you then, because I wasn't sure when you came on the video call, because it's been a windy day over in Manchester by the look of that chin of yours.
My fake Jeremy Beadle beard fell off.
What about your fake Jeremy Beadle fingers? Is that one a bit niche?
Let's not go there.
Let's not go there. Right, yeah. I'm afraid we'll be removed from Apple Podcasts after inappropriate comments. So Christopher, you trailed it to me when we were chatting before we started. You've got your tip of the week all ready and waiting, haven't you?
It's almost like I'm prepared.
Is it going to be anything to do with visibility and opportunity?
Well, always. How can you make yourself more visible? What things can you do in order to create those opportunities and increase that visibility? We're looking at outreach. Talking to someone this morning about email outreach, and we're always talking about networking and sort of building relationships. One of the things I found very useful and is very relevant to what we're doing today and to our guest who we'll come to is podcasting. Is either being a guest on somebody else's podcast to talk about yourself and how you can help other people, but also considering maybe even starting your own podcast. I'm sure
you want to start your own podcast and want to deal with an expert who understands marketing and audio production, www.northernpods.com. Just might be my company. Just I'll mention that one. Sorry, Chris. All yours.
Insert advert here. No, you're absolutely right. I think it's a different format. Again, just echoing some of the things that you started to put out on social media. If you don't, your competitors will, and that's the risk, isn't it? It's often something that I've commented when I'm doing something. Well, if I don't, my competitors will. So it's an attitude to have. Sometimes risky. But if you don't try, you don't know. So my advice is have a look into it. Make some inquiries, see what you could potentially talk about and what the impact could have. It could be business changing. Do you have a tip, Ross?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, it kind of follows on tangentially from what you've just said. I'm not going to be so blatant as to push my own podcast business. He says jokingly. No, it's something I was thinking about earlier. I was trying to decide what to talk about and trying to decide what tip to come up with. And I thought, actually, let's get back to basics. Honesty. You can not bend, but you can manipulate reality in marketing and in business development. But if you tell outright lies, you will get found out. It might be after you've landed a big deal, but it'll stop you getting the second deal and the third deal and the fourth deal. There's no excuse not to be honest, whether it's good or bad. And I see it too often in marketing collateral. When it's things I know about, I mean, things I really understand, a subject that's, your pet subject. And you look at it and go, well, that's not right. It's not even close to being right. That's bollocks, basically. And then it makes you wonder, all the things that maybe you're not an expert on, is the bollocks in that as well. And I think the problem is in this day and age, there's so many lies flying around on social media, fake truth and all that kind of thing. Sorry, fake news. I think people are going back to actually celebrating honesty because I think it's been ignored for a while and people have forgotten it. And I'd like to think that the people who will now embrace the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, will actually start to succeed a bit more because I think we're all getting a bit fed up of being lied to. This has turned into politics.
Wow.
Marketing, hasn't it? Yeah. My name's Ross Brown. Good night.
Yeah. Well, here. I mean, it's very important. It's I think like you say, you'll get found out. The truth will always come out in the wash. So yeah, it's a good sort of ethic to have and be able to help you sleep at night. So yeah, no, there's I'd certainly subscribe to the notion of honesty. Yeah, nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, sorry, that did get a bit deep, didn't it?
A bit deep. I was talking about podcasting.
Should I tell a few dick jokes now?
Please.
I'll tell you what, I think from the little I do know of him that our guest will be a little lighter in tone. I'm not saying completely, so don't worry about the pressure there, mate. But Mr. Guest, would you like to introduce yourself and tell us what it is you do?
Indeed, Ross. Happy to wade into this not political debate at all.
Cheers, mate.
So thank you for having me on. My name is Jamie Ryder. I am a Manchester-based copywriter with a really big interest in wellness and training and how sharing impact there, just to pick up on your point about being honesty from the marketing perspective and how I think honesty and impact go hand in hand together. I'm very much influenced by things like philosophy that helps me at least try to think a bit more ethically in a marketing standpoint, but how can we also branch these ideas out into wider life, whether it is through mental health, through business development, whatever have you, but trying to help other people see what works for them with these ideas that have been around forever. It's just understanding the lens that they want to see it through.
Wow. Yeah, great.
Oof.
Love that.
And I thought I was heavy. I mean, looking at because we think we've met briefly in the past, but we're not quite sure. But I had a quick look because it was Chris who booked you in, and I looking at your website. I did like this quote: Jamie Ryder grew up in Manchester with a comic in one hand and a stoic quote in the other. Do you have a stoic quote for the day, Jamie?
Oh, good question. And my go-to is we often suffer more in imagination than we do in reality. And I would attribute that to Seneca, who was one of the most famous Stoic philosophers who really influenced a lot of what we understand about Stoicism today. And I'd always recommend him probably from a mental health perspective, because in its essence, what we think is going on in our head probably doesn't always match the objectivity of the reality that we're in. And it's good just to understand that distinction.
Some podcasts have a restaurant who sponsors them or that they support, or a glasses brand. We have a philosopher. This episode of Brown and Marsh brought to you by who was it again? Sorry, what was his name?
His name was Seneca.
Seneca, right? I'll be honest, my philosophers, once I get past Heidegger and Nietzsche, I'm no expert. Unless it was in a Monty Python song about philosophers, I forget it.
Oh, that's the best combination, Monty Python and philosophy.
Is that how you got into it, Jamie? Monty Python?
You know what? That's actually in tangentially. That's really interesting. Just as an aside, I remember my uncle introducing me to things like the Holy Grail back in the day, and I love the skit with the Black Knight. And as a random aside, I've written a book about philosophy, and that story actually makes it into a chapter about Albert Camus, who is the founder of absurdism, and that scene in of itself, the Black Knight, I'm invincible, you can't defeat me.
The flesh wound.
Yeah. Inherently that's absurd, but you have to laugh at it because that's absurd comedy, and there's just so much joy to have out of looking at life through that particular lens.
Is it not always a danger that if we analyse comedy too much, it stops being funny? Because I'm sorry, Jamie, not getting. I'm just in general, where I did communication studies at university, and we had to analyse the arse out of everything, and it almost stopped you enjoying it. Stopped you enjoying Blade Runner because you were trying to work out, was Harrison Ford a robot or whatever. Do you not find sometimes you analyse things so much that you stop enjoying it for what it is?
Oh, massively. Sometimes I think if you overthink things in the comedy in of itself and start to pick it apart, then I think it's useful if you want to understand the mechanics, maybe if you're a comedian or if that's maybe your line of work. But if you're just trying to enjoy it as a layman who just really likes the comedy, then just enjoy it for what it is, I think.
So how do you get into something like this? Because it's quite niche. It's what first sparked little Jamie to decide to go off in this direction?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'd worked in marketing agencies for about 10 years, predominantly in copywriting across various industries, professional services, wellness, etc. But I found that to a certain point, I just got very burnt out up until the pandemic, and from that point, we were all going through various things. And for me, philosophy was that thing at the time that just helped me get out of that hole and really helped me to reassess what I wanted to do. It was still copywriting, but I thought these ideas are timeless. I've always liked wellness as well. So these two branches really helped to solidify that, and I've just ran with it ever since.
I mean, where do you get clients from this? Is it an industry specific thing, or is it just every industry could do with somebody who's got this awareness of philosophical thoughts when applying it to their copy?
Yeah, indeed. So it's more about the thinking behind outright saying, oh, I bring philosophy into copywriting, because trying to use that as messaging doesn't always land. But I find that actually thinking from things like stoicism, it helps me to show up to be the kind of person where I might need to do a bit of business dev. I might need to try to negotiate in a certain respect. And if it comes to the copy itself, then I think it's a very research-led approach to whatever you do in copy, and maybe you've seen that from your own background in PR and copy, Ross, but it is the research that comes before the writing, and the more philosophical strands that I can think about, the more it leads me to want to find the ideas, the people who will be able to make the copy better, and that's the thinking that I would tend to apply to trying to branch philosophy and copywriting together.
Wow.
Yeah, this isn't going to be dick jokes for the next hour, is it? But,
Sorry to disappoint.
Oh, mate, no, not at all. No. Do you know what? And this is no insult to any previous guests we've had on, because most of them being people we know. But I think there's some degree, because they're people you know, there's almost a level of comfort with it. I don't know you, Jamie. We think we might have met once or twice in the past. So this is bloody fascinating for me. And I just find it an interesting angle to have. Yes, you're not a philosophical copywriter, but you're a copywriter who understands philosophy and can apply the techniques. Would you say that's the right way around?
I would say so, yeah. So it goes into the research and the psychology behind how the copy gets written.
So go on, take us back then, because you're relatively young. So, 20, 25 years ago, when, how the fuck did you get here, Jamie? It's unusual.
Yeah, I know. But you're not the first to tell me that, mate. And relatively
Won't be the last, I'm sure.
Yeah, I'm 33. I've always felt much older than I am. Old soul and philosophy tends to go with that, really. But from as a very even younger age, wellness, mental health was just always really important to me, because I went through things as a teenager that really informed how I look at mental health these days from a male mental health perspective as well. I was very inspired to just be open about what I've been through, and philosophy again is another lens where trying to share these ideas where men of certain generations might not always want to be open about it, but if, hey, do you know what stoicism is, or do you understand the difference between what you think stoicism is versus what actual stoicism is, that's a good conversation starter.
Just out of interest, sorry to interrupt you, but to me, stoicism is not a philosophical concept. It's more of an attitude. It's kind of not that you don't care. It's almost a laissez-faire kind of, you're very stoical about something. You're very kind of laid back and groovy. Now, how different is that from stoicism as in the philosophical context, or are they broadly aligned?
So it's a really interesting distinction, and I didn't know this until I started researching it. But if you want to take the look of the British culture of keep a stiff upper lip as a character trait of being stoic, emotionless, and just not talking about your feelings, that's what a lot of people understand the character trait of stoicism to be. But the actual philosophy is the opposite, where you can regulate your emotions and you can still be emotional at the same time. There is a set of techniques within that philosophy that can help you look at things from a mental health perspective, something like the view from above, which is very famously attributed to the Roman Emperor Marcus Aurelius, where if you think about it, this guy was literally in charge of the Roman Empire. He had loads of crises that he was going through on a daily basis. So how could he really manage his mental health? Oh, well, I've got stoicism here. I'll use this technique called the view from above, where I'll try to take a very objective point of view of the world, where probably somebody else on my level or even below me is going through the exact same thing. They're angry, they're they feel like they're failing as a parent or something else. And if you go outside of yourself and the picture that you're looking down at the whole world, then surely you feel like you're more connected to the wider whole of humanity. Then you'd slowly come back down into yourself, and hopefully by doing that mental exercise, you could regulate anxiety or depression or maybe something else you're going through. And that's just one idea that I think is very helpful for distinguishing the character trait of being stoic versus being a stoic.
Yeah, I noticed because on the website it was stoic, a stoic quote in the other, but it was stoic with a capital S. I thought, all right, so he doesn't necessarily mean stoicism. Oh, he means stoicism as in the philosophy. But it didn't expect to see anything like that. Like I say, you know, you're 20 years younger than me. You're obviously, like you said, there is a bit of an old soul about you, but you're obviously very well read in your area, and you know would be bloody great in a pub quiz. So yeah, if you ever a Huddersfield way, give me a shout. We'll go and do a quiz together. But how do you said it was the sort of the pandemic that sort of awakened this, but presumably there was something beforehand, you know, when you were, you know, a spotty-faced teenager trying to decide what you want to do with life. You didn't, you know, suddenly just wake up one morning with a book of philosophy in your hand going, I found my way. Or did you?
I mean, I wish that was that easy, but no. No, but I always knew that I wanted to be a writer of some kind. I said I love fantasy. I want to write a book. If I could get paid for it, great, but I'll always write in some capacity. That led me to do a degree in creative writing, then a master's. Then I thought, right, how do I actually get paid for it? Oh, this copywriting thing seems interesting. Transitioned into the marketing industry there from about 20 years old, and then I just stuck to various marketing agencies, and that was the way in. Now it's branching creativity with creative writing, book writing, and copywriting at the same time.
Christopher? I'm very conscious that I go into full journalist mode at times.
Yeah.
And Chris sits there looking pretty with his clean-shaven face.
I'm fascinated by your fascination of Jamie's.
Well, I suppose you know
approach.
him. You know him.
Well,
much
yeah,
better than I do,
I've learned an awful lot from Jamie in terms of mental health and how he approaches things, and his enthusiasm for history as well. It's wonderful. So
it is infectious, isn't it?
Yeah.
This is why I love doing this and talking to people.
Yeah.
Because you can't fake passion. You're passionate about what you're talking about. We're speaking to a guy a few weeks ago who's passionate about early 80s synths. You know, Dave Edmondson Bird. I mean, I share some of his interests, but that man loves a bloody synth. He really does. And you can tell you're passionate about philosophy and about stoicism. And I love it. Even if I don't understand half of what you're bloody saying. I just love it. It's the passion. And I love anybody who's passionate about anything. Even if it's something like cricket or golf, which I couldn't really care less about, as long as you care about something. I think that's the important thing in life.
Yeah,
so,
I agree. Yeah.
So you did your creative writing. So we got up to about maybe 10 years ago, and you entered the agency world. At which point did you think, was it I need a differentiation, or, you know, I need to not be the same as every other writer? So, you know, why did I bring in my interest in philosophy? Or, you know, what made you take that certain direction as opposed to another?
Yeah, so it's an interesting point, and I think it's twofold, really. Subconsciously, there was that differentiator, because now if I look even further ahead with the AI glut out there as well, it's important to really find a way to just stand out from your own uniqueness or anything that helps you just stay above the pack. But that was more authentic to me as well, because it lended naturally to this path that I wanted to work with more wellness and mental health businesses as well. The ideas from different kinds of philosophies seem to gel well with that kind of thinking anyway. It's linked to psychology. It's linked to that point of trying to tell a story of transformation and change, which copy can do in a very good level anyway. So it was those points that I just thought, all this seems so naturally aligned together. Let me talk about this. Let me test these ideas just out loud by talking to people. Each conversation that I have, the messaging, the positioning will get tighter. And then hopefully in my head, it was like, finally something will land, somebody will get it, or we'll come out with these similar interests where it's not about marketing or business development. Essentially, we just share this natural interest about these ideas, and then let's go from there.
Yeah. And that's something that I've always felt about you, Jamie, is your enthusiasm to help other people, me included in that, because you've always dedicated your time to helping me, and you've taught me a lot about. I remember early conversations about email campaigns and content and how to start those emails and how to follow up and things like that, which have been incredibly useful for me from a business development perspective. So, and I know at the moment you're helping people to write books about their lives. Is that something that you can talk about?
Yeah, indeed.
Still doing that?
So,
Yeah.
one of our mutual friends, Chris, Andy Hall, he's set to come out with his book, Purposeful Mentoring, which he's been working on for something like 5 years now, and he just wanted to get that out. But I find from a self-development or a mental health branding perspective, books are number one, a great lead magnet if you just want to have conversations with people. Also, it's good to share your knowledge and build your brand as well. But I think it's writing the damn thing to begin with, and everybody's got that particular way that they might start to write. But take Andy, for example, he just felt very stuck on timing and priorities, and just having somebody there to coach him along to get there, to say, look, maybe try this, let me have a look to edit it, we'll have a bit of back and forth, and it's just learning the techniques as you go along. And now a year later, that book, Purposeful Mentoring, is ready to go and then self-publishing. So that's a really exciting project. But in terms of the wider things that I do, it's coaching, it's ghostwriting a book as well, and helping people find the best way they'd like to publish that book as well.
Yeah, fantastic. I look forward to reading.
Sorry. I was just going to say, it's editing in a proper literary fashion, isn't it? Your editor isn't necessarily the person who tidies up and subs the copy. It's the person who cajoles you and pushes you round and, makes sure you get the job done.
Oh yeah, and for that, it's starting the foundations. Whereas personally, I hate editing my own books. I just think it's good to put it with somebody who lives and breathes editing, and it's always going through, whether it's copy or if it's books as well, at least a couple of edits with other people who are part of that wider team, so they can see it and actually make sure it's aligned to the audience where that writing will be read.
How easy do you find, because my background's journalism editing as well, how easy do you find to edit a subject that might not be your area of specialism, or is that actually useful? Because I used to find it useful, because if I don't understand this, nobody else will understand it, because I'm a clever bloke. Is it the same kind of attitude? I don't need to be an expert because it's not a book for experts.
In a way, yeah, but I find it always goes back to curiosity as well. I think what makes any kind of good writer, regardless of editing as well, it's just having that inborn curiosity to say, let me go and find out about this subject that I don't know. I still think it'll be better placed in the hands of a professional editor, but even if I can add a few tweaks or grammatical things to it, then that just moves it along the line as well.
Yeah, because grammar's grammar. It doesn't matter whether you're understanding necessarily the content. It just doesn't make bloody sense. So you can tidy that bit, can't you? So is that something you enjoy doing more, or is it the kind of the mentoring, coaching element? I mean, all right, sorry, there is an element of that. What I'm trying to say is it the nuts and bolts of taking 2,000 words and making them a great 1,200 words, or is it getting somebody to do it themselves, the mentoring and the coaching to get them to understand it?
At the moment, I really enjoy the mentoring side, because I just look back at my own writing journey to how I took that enjoyment from writing myself, and I really want to instill the passion in other people where anybody can be a writer if they put their mind to it. As long as they keep writing, regardless of whether that project ends up, then it's important. And there are just so many intangible impacts that can have on mental health and productivity as well, regardless of the project you're working on. But also equally, I still like writing copy. I still like the ghostwriting elements as well. So it's two-pronged with mentoring and having that creative itch scratched, as it were, if I can work on the writing.
So your work, is it fiction, non-fiction? I know I've seen some non-fiction stuff listed, but any fiction writing, or is it all, fact-based?
Well, I do have aspirations to be a fantasy author one day, but I really like working on non-fiction, whether that's ghostwriting it or working on my own stuff as well.
Yeah, because I noticed the Japanese fighting heroes. I was like, at first I thought it sounded like a manga. Then I actually looked at it and went, oh, no, it's not. It's actually about Japanese fighting heroes. hence the title, really. I mean, you've obviously got an interest in Japan. I mean, where did that come from? Because
Yes.
you think philosophy, you'd be into Greek history, but obviously, yes, but Japan as well.
Yeah, so that was for me. I remember growing up with things like anime, like Dragon Ball Z and what have you, and that started my initial interest in Japan as a culture, and it's just slowly built through the years through food, history, to the point where I actually started a Manchester-based Japanese magazine called Yamato, which was me just actually writing about the culture and trying to raise awareness about various initiatives. My current publisher found me through that and asked if I would like to write a book about Japan, which became Japanese Fighting Heroes. And while also simultaneously thinking about, I like mental health and copywriting, how could I maybe broaden these things together and connect these worlds? And I came up with this genre called stealth help, which is something that seemed to have really exploded post-pandemic, where people still want that element of self-help, personal development, but it's gentler. It's things that I'm put in with things like philosophy, pop culture, history, battles, where you are just telling a story rather than beating somebody over the head with, this is how you should live your life. Whereas here's a story that you might resonate with based on a character or a historical figure. You'll probably find something or ideas that probably are things that you've faced in your life. Here you go. It's up to you what you do with it. And that is what I think stealth help is. And it's just a much easier way than just saying pure personal development.
I mean, I was looking at Yamato, just I've got it open now on my other screen, and I did enjoy the latest haiku. And I double check, 17 syllables. I like to see you follow the rules, because there's so many people write haiku and they don't actually, they just think it has to be a short poem like a limerick. But yeah, 17 syllables, seasons in it. Does that don't have to be a colour as well, or is that I've made that one up? What are the rules? You tell me the rules. You're going to know better than I am. 17 syllables.
So I think just to take that initial example, that was just me having inspiration. I want to write haiku about spring, April renewal. Season is important. That structure that you mentioned is the traditional haiku, and having some sort of emotion there, which for me was regeneration. So those three things are pretty good for a traditional haiku, but you've also got longer Japanese poems like tankas, which is what the haiku originated from, the shorter version of the tanka, and a lot of that's on Yamato as well. But I just find, even as a writing exercise, that's something that I like to recommend as if a coaching cat, starting with a haiku just to open up your creativity. Don't worry about if it's good or bad. It's just saying, let me write this to recharge myself, and then start writing from there if you think it's going to be useful.
It's like anything, whether you're writing, I don't know, an essay, an article, or a song. Your first version is going to be shite. Your second version will probably be shite as well, but eventually you'll get good at it because you'll learn the rules. You'll learn how to make these things better. And then I've always said, once you know the rules of whether it's writing an article, writing a blog post, writing a song, you're then good enough to know when to break them as well. And, you obviously understand how to write haiku. So you also know that when you can break the rules to make a point, when it's... when actually this haiku requires 19 syllables because the last two will twist it or something like that. Do you know what I mean? And that's what I think is always important with this kind of thing you're talking about, knowing the rules and then knowing when to bend them and shape them and everything else. Because this is in my Zen garden, the seasons change in a blink. My daughter smiles now. And that's beautiful, mate, I have to say. Yeah. It's quite tough.
Thank you. And I was thinking of my daughter Freya at that time, because it was just to think she's 16 months old now, and even in like that blink of an eye, she's just started smiling and very soon to be walking. And I'm like, please stop growing. I love you, but please stop growing.
Chris and I have got kids much older than that, and it doesn't get easier, I can tell you.
Yeah, I tell Jamie all the time, make the most of those moments. I remember when you told me that your wife was pregnant, so that only seems like yesterday. And like you say, time does fly. So, what sort of things do you think you'll be influencing Freya with in the future in terms of her approach to life and work as well? What sort of things do you think that you've learned that you could pass on as a parent?
Yeah, it's a great question, Chris, and I'm just very conscious of me being the main male role model that she has in her life, even at this young age. And I wrote a post recently for a Japanese anime magazine about the idea of what it's like to raise a mixed heritage daughter. Freya is half Vietnamese, and I was watching this anime the other day called Blue Eye Samurai, which is about a female samurai who is half white as well. And just watching that, it was actually seeing what she goes through as somebody who shouldn't feel like it's an and or. You can be the best of both worlds, and that's the main lesson I want her to go away with. It's not my job to tell you the life you need to leave, but just to help guide you to say, here are the cultures you're a part of, take what you need from them and just enjoy the best life that you can lead.
Wonderful.
I think it makes sense for any person. So I know you like podcasts. Well, I know you like at least one podcast. So you probably already know that audio creates a deeper, more personal, emotional connection with a stronger sense of trust and intimacy than video. And, it's less expensive too. So amplify what matters to you. Start a podcast today. Visit northernpods.com. So it's I think you're right. I think what you're saying applies for any parent, whether the child's mixed heritage, mixed race, mixed anything. That child will be a combination of mum and dad and their environment. I think it's more obvious in Freya's case, as you say, because there's that physical that people know straight away. But I think, does that not apply to every kid? I suppose we all want them to be the best of all of us, don't we?
Yeah, I'm certainly in a position where I'm trying to shape mine in terms of the music that they listen to and the films that they watch, but I think I'm failing miserably, and like you say, you've just got to sort of let them follow their own path and be influenced by other people, their friends and whoever they're knocking about with at school.
So, Jamie, your wife, is she from Vietnam or was she, what I'm trying to awkwardly say is, was she born in the UK or was she born in Vietnam and moved over?
So that's a fascinating piece of history as well. So I believe her family moved from Vietnam over to Hong Kong for a bit. She was born in Hong Kong. They moved to London, where she spent a lot of her childhood. Then when she was a teenager, they moved to Manchester, and they've been here ever since and created quite a thriving food scene, actually, which is interesting. And it's just, good to see the journey of history and what people bring with them from all kinds and all parts of the world.
So she does have a solid foundation in her Vietnamese background, her Vietnamese heritage. She's not become a complete mank walking around sort of, shuffling and, I don't know, drinking Vimto all the time or anything like that.
Oh, well, the jury's still out on that, to be honest, Ross, because sometimes she's from London, sometimes she has the old Manx twang in there as well, and it's just a fascinating part of the quirks that Kim is.
That's what makes life beautiful, isn't it?
Yeah.
Meeting people. We are all the sum of our parts, all the places we've lived. And, I got accused of sounding a bit mank because I'd lived there a few years. It was like, I'm from bloody Yorkshire, mate. What are you talking about? I turned into a proper full-on professional Yorkshireman.
You're a very proud Yorkshireman, Ross, aren't you? I don't think anyone could deny you.
The thing is, we're like vegans. A vegan will always tell you they're a vegan, whether you're best or not. And a Yorkshireman will always tell you he's a Yorkshireman.
Indeed.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. I think mainly we don't want people to think we're Lancastrian. I mean, that's obviously, you can tell that I'm doing this. And my girlfriend, who eats Lancastrian, is nowhere near me at the moment. She's out of work, because otherwise you'd see a video of me being beaten senseless with a black pudding or something. So, let's talk a bit about...
Anyway.
Yeah, so I'm going back to professional mode slightly. I'm fascinated by your interest in Japanese culture. You mentioned Dragon Ball Z and things like that. I'm a big fan of Studio Ghibli, for instance. And because of that, I've got a fascination to some degree with that side. It's almost the more fairy tale stuff, whereas I think you're more the graphic novel, violence, blah, blah, blah. I know I'm being quite black and white here, but what is it you like about anime and manga? What is it that stirs the emotions?
Yeah, great question. And I find that just having looked at it versus how I was as a kid versus now, I think that answer's probably changed. When I was a kid, I was drawn to the spectacle of the battle and these larger than life characters. But now looking back, it was the humanity of them because the anime was very high quality, but the character transitions, the development that they went through with, like, say, the character of Vegeta from Dragon Ball Z as an example, he started off as a villain, but slowly you see him develop into a main character, a redemption arc. He becomes one of the most beloved characters in the whole franchise, and I just love the story of that and how all of that can be drawn together in a Japanese mindset, which is not always the same as a Western mindset, but the themes are universal regardless of what the story is.
It's got more depth, I think. Japanese cartoons. There's more characterization. It's not Scooby Doo, which is frankly the same episode every single bloody week, just with different people in it. There is a depth and a character arc and things like that. It's much closer, I think, to a good quality Netflix box set than something for kids, because it definitely isn't for kids.
Maybe you'll be influencing Freya with your own interests, but but like you say, you've got to sort of let her find her own path, really, don't you? So what sort of things are keeping you busy? Obviously, I mean, you're obviously helping people write books. You're copywriting. I see you networking sometimes as well. What is, in terms of just how you balance your time? What is your sort of focus? Is it sort of generating new business for yourself, or working with your clients, or networking? How do you sort of spend your days?
Yeah, so there's two things I'm really focused on at the moment. One is around the idea of podcast guesting and helping people go on podcasts to share their stories. And the reason for that is going back to my interest in mental health, the fact that I find that, at least from my subjective opinion, that the very act of well-being and mental health, people tend to feel more galvanized if they can actually hear somebody being honest about it and actually really passionate about it. And I just think podcasts are a wonderful medium for that. It feels very organic. It might lead to more leads down the line for them, but also build their brand and to help pitch them onto podcasts if they've got a great story, finding out their positioning, finding out the offer that actually works for them and how that can lend to their business. That's something I'm very focused on with public speakers, trainers and L&D brands. And something else that's become a passion project for me is this thing I'm working on called the Training Impact Gap Project, where I have a goal between now and April 2027 to interview 100 practitioners across training, L&D and change consultancy, because I'm fascinated with this idea of how do you bridge the gap between how people learn versus the actual behavior change at work. I think that's such a hard thing to do for any training program. And the reason for that is when I was still in corporate, I've lost count of the times where a lot of people in the business had just been said, you need to go to this training for whatever reason. And it was never anything bad about the trainings in particular. They were just there to do a job, but the senior leaders just used it as a tick box exercise. And you might have felt great in the moment, but then when the trainer left, oh right, sorry guys, this is it now, business as usual. So no behavior change, no impact. And then I thought, right, so there's something missing here, and surely there's the pattern. So I have been on a mission just to interview the people who can actually create this change, but it's never down to that one person. It's how do you build the system. And once I've completed this project, I look forward to sharing the insights that might actually help these senior leaders understand why they have those choices and how it can actually prove ROI, but also help the people who need to be helped within the businesses as well.
I think that's the thing, isn't it? You need to demonstrate the ROI because at the end of the day, it's not lip service, as you say. It's to some degree, it's a box ticking exercise. But if they know that it's actually going to make them more money by being decent to people, which is fairly flipping obvious, you'd have thought, that's the case, isn't it? It's a sad fact of life. That is what 99% of people care about.
Oh, absolutely. And the more people are taught to, the more it's good to have these ethical intentions, but you do understand you need to speak the language of business to say, how do we tie the impact to the results on the business? And once that clicks, then I think that's a pattern that is becoming very apparent at the moment.
Yeah, brilliant.
So what's the future look like then? So you've got this the plan till April 27. You wanted to write more books. Is there anything else that's on the horizon that's interesting you want to share? What are you giggling at?
I was just thinking. I mean, have you not got enough on, Jamie? I mean, how many books have you written so far? Is it 3, 2, 3?
Actually, it's 5. So
is it 5? Forgive me, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm just
yeah. So as an aside, I've got these 3 books:
Wow.
Japanese fighting heroes, Norse fighting heroes, and history's greatest philosophers, which are all about some of these ideas that we've spoken about of stealth help and how we can apply them to business and personal life. I'm also very into my alcoholic spirits as well, and my publisher asked me to write a couple of books about various alcoholic spirits, which has been fascinating as well. I've just written about Mexico and agave spirits, and that will probably be out at some point next year.
Yeah, we're back to drunk philosophers now, aren't we?
That's kind.
The Philosopher's Song by Monty. Do you know it, Chris? With references for you.
I love Monty Python, but that reference is lost to me.
It's the Woogabaloo philosophy department or something, and it's like, all right, my name's Bruce. I'm head of Hegelian philosophy. Oh, I'm called Bruce. I'm Jeremy. Can we call you Bruce? Make it easier. And then let's just start singing this boozy song. Heidegger was a boozy beggar, could drink you under the table. Just, you get the idea.
Yeah, well, yeah. You know the words.
I knew the first line. After a few drinks, I probably know the rest of it as well. But
was this from the TV show? Because I'm more of a fan of the film.
It's from the TV show. Right, yeah, I'm 99% sure. Yeah, I'd like to point out it was before I was born as well.
Okay, yeah.
Only just-ish, possibly. Might have been 1 or 2 when it stopped. Yeah, I'm not actually that old. So the next book. So you've got the agave.
Monty Python, right? One on Monty Python.
I think there's been enough of those, mate. We've got plenty in this house between me and Liz. What? Any plans for other books? Any other areas? You've obviously done philosophy. You've done the heroes. You've done booze. Any plans to a different area? Because frankly, I don't think you've got enough on, Jamie.
I know. There's the more plates I can still keep throwing while also being a full-time self-employed dad. Why not? Yeah. Honestly, my aspirations, I'd still love to publish my first fantasy book one day, but that's a whole other kettle of fish, another fiction. But for now, I just really want to focus on helping more people in wellness and training find the impact that they need and grow their businesses through the mechanisms of copyright, podcasts, guesting, email marketing, and wider case studies as well.
I want to test out a theory, and if it's wrong, we can happily edit this bit, because I do seem to be quite good at this one. ADHD by any chance?
I have no idea, to be honest. I've never been diagnosed.
Well, neither have I, but I'm listening. It's I do this, and this. It's funny. We seem to have a lot of people on, and it's those that spin 250 different plates that they're either ADHD, either diagnosed, or I think I probably am, or they're autistic. And we've had a couple of people on it, and it does seem to be. I think it's only because I know I'm ADHD. Never been diagnosed. But it was about a year ago, my girlfriend, who's got experience of it, said, definitely, do you think you're ADHD? I went, no. What are you talking? No, I'm normal, me. I'm all normal and shit. And then she went, you wake up with a song in your head every morning. Yes. That's not what normal people do. Is it not? And lots of other things, and I've done research into it. It's me now. I'm 54. I'm not going to change. I know my faults. I know that I can be a bit too quick to make a joke because I've thought of it, or I get a bit too giddy, or I get annoyed if people are waffling. I already know what they're going to say. I don't mean when I'm interviewing Jamie, but when I've asked somebody a question and it's like, get to the end. And I know I have to stop myself doing that. Not always successfully. And maybe it's that, but I found myself almost, like some people have a gaydar. I've got you're somewhere on the spectrum dar. And I did just wonder with all the different things you've got going on. But don't get me wrong, mate, it's no insult. No. You may be, you may not be. It's just, I often find that people who can't stick to one thing because it would bore them senseless, they need to do that, and that. And I'm the same. Have that degree of ADHD about them. So, like I say,
interesting food for thought, and just
if I've got one friend who is diagnosed and needed to have tablets because he really just couldn't concentrate anything, for more than a few minutes, and it really was ruining his life. And now he's brilliant. But it's weird; he's not quite him anymore. Still love him dearly, but it's not quite him anymore. And I don't think I'd be interested in that. I can concentrate, because that's the other thing. When you're ADHD, you can then hyper focus as well. You end up suddenly realizing, I've been coding for 6 hours straight and I haven't eaten. Oh, and I probably needed a wee 2 hours ago. That's why my kidneys hurt. So this really has taken a sidebar, hasn't it? So yeah, anyway, you're not ADHD then? Well, not diagnosed.
Well, to bring it back to mental health as well.
Thank God, thank you.
The overall dominant theme of this conversation. I just think it's interesting the amount of people who are being more open about being neurodiverse, or how that's just being addressed globally at the moment. And as you very much said, Ross, I think we're all on the spectrum to a certain degree, whether we're diagnosed or undiagnosed. And that's beautiful to me, because we're all quirky, we're all unique, and the more honest and open we can have about these conversations, and I just think it helps everybody.
I think all my close friends are neurosparkly in some way, shape or form. I think it's almost like a magnet. You sort of attract like. So just saying, Chris, you and I become closer since we started doing this. It might be catching.
You might find out some of my quirky ways, but there you go.
Is it just me, Jamie? Does that sound a bit ominous? We might find out some of his quirky ways.
I just don't. I don't tell people my quirks.
Apart from being a Man United supporter.
Sure.
Sorry, Jamie. United or City?
So neither. I grew up I'm probably the black sheep of my family, because I was born in Stretford. My dad and my granddad were huge Red supporters, but I just thought, not really for me, but I can appreciate why people enjoy it so much.
Are your family, are they in sport? Have I got that correct?
No.
No
very much big, football supporters, yeah.
Have you thought about a future in politics? Because that was a perfect politics answer. I appreciate people enjoy football. It's not a passion I share.
Well, I've always been told I'm quite diplomatic and just being very neutral with, I always say, I'm Switzerland in this conversation, because to sneak one last stoic thing in there.
What far away, mate.
Taught me is it's okay to not have an opinion about something. My opinion is I have no opinion, and to just accept it is a good thing.
Good.
Everyone thinks they need to understand everything. I think Brexit proved that.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm back to politics again.
No, we don't talk about politics. It's the same thing, isn't it? So, that's good.
Well, Jamie, I think we've probably picked your brains enough, and I've waffled on enough, and Chris has sat there looking clean-shaven enough. So I think it's probably...
I know that we've not even scratched the surface with Jamie, but I've known him long enough to know that. But no, you're right. I think it's been fascinating. It's been absolutely brilliant hearing from you, Jamie, and your way of thinking, and what the sort of path that's led you up to where you are now. So how would people? Obviously, you mentioned you've written 5 books. How would people find these books?
Yeah, indeed. So you can find my work at jamieryderbooks.com, and for any copywriting needs to prove impact, you can go to spotlighttrainingco.com, which is my copywriting agency.
And they are available on Amazon, because I was reading the reviews, and they're pretty good as well. How about yourself, Christopher? What do people do if they want to get hold of you?
Well, best place for me really is LinkedIn. I'm sure you can find me on LinkedIn, or my website is agentsof.co.uk. How about yourself, Ross?
Thank you very much. www.rossbrown.co.uk. Brackets, not the editor of FHM, it's me. I have to say that now ever since the last episode. So look, Jamie, really, mate, thank you very much. Yeah. I've enjoyed this. It's been not what I expected, and my head's... I'm probably going to have to lie down for an hour now in a dark room somewhere with a flannel on my head. But yeah, we've really enjoyed it, mate. Thank you very much. Yeah. It's well, that's it really. Thank you very much for listening. Don't forget to subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon, YouTube,
TikTok.
Oh God, yeah, we've got a TikTok account.
We've got TikTok.
Well, when I say we've got a TikTok account, Chris, as the young member of the team, does the TikTok, because I don't quite understand it because I'm over 50. But yeah, we've got a TikTok account, YouTube account, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn. just brownandmarsh.co.uk, where there's links to all those. So until next time, it's goodbye from me.
And it's goodbye from him.
Goodbye.
Brown and Marsh is a Northern Pods production. Find out more at northernpods.com.